Now, when you see what we have on the board, the question has been well expressed. All I had to do is to extract my variables and my parameters from the question. And when you look at this question, they said the volume of sulfur 4 oxide is 460 cm3. And then the volume of hydrogen sulfide is 460 cm3. Why? Because they said equal volume of this gas. That means in this case, we are dealing with two gases. And the first gas is sulfur 4 oxide. And the second gas is hydrogen sulfide. And in this case, they said the volume of the two gases are equal. So in this case, we said sulfur 4 oxide, which is 460 cm3, and hydrogen sulfide, which is also 460 cm3. But in the question, it took 30 seconds for sulfur 4 oxide to diffuse through that partition. Now they are asking, how long will it take hydrogen sulfide to diffuse through that same partition? So we are only looking for the time taken for hydrogen sulfide to diffuse. And then we go with our formula. R1 all over R2 equals to M2, the square root of M2 over the square root of M1. Don't forget this formula, very, very important. Also equal to D squared all over D2, D1. Also equal to what? T2 over T1. So put this in your head. Now the first thing I will do to get the time taken for the hydrogen sulfide to diffuse is to come with this formula. Let's remember this formula. Rate of diffusion is equal to volume of the gas all over time. Now in this case, we need to solve for the rate. Remember I taught you rate is equals to volume over time. Now let's check. For sulfur 4 oxide, we have the volume and then we have the time. Can you see that? For sulfur 4 oxide, we have the volume and we have the time. And that means we can get the rate of diffusion of sulfur 4 oxide. So I'll come over here. My R1 is equals to the volume of R1, which is 460 over the time, which is 30. Now let's press in our calculator to know what answer is. 15.33 cm3 per seconds. Let's not forget that. cm3 per second. So we are done with R1. What about for my R2? What about R2? In this case, we have volume, but we don't have time. So we can't get our R2. But we are going to use our R1 to equate with this in order to get our R2. And then when we get our R2, we connect it with this to get the time. So we go, my R1 is 15.33. 15.33. And what is my R2? R2 is not given, so we'll put our R2. Now, the molecular mass of the gas 2 is hydrogen sulfide. Remember, hydrogen is 2, and in this case, sulfur is 32. So we have 32 plus 2 is 34. So we have our 34 square root, 34 square root of 34. And what about my sulfur 4 oxide? For sulfur 4 oxide, we have sulfur, which is 16, and oxygen, which is also 32. No, sulfur is 32, and oxygen is also 32 because it's 16 times 32. So 32 plus 32 will give us what? 64. So put our square root of 64. Now let's find the square root of these values here. So we have 15. Let me cut it up. 15.33 over R2 equal to, now let's find the square root of 32. The square root of 32. The square root of 32. Pause. So we are going to press our 15.33 times 8. My answer is 12264. 12264. 12264. That is my answer right there. And then the next thing is to divide both sides by 5.6568. 5.6568. Now let's check what our answer is going to look like. And my answer is 21.67. So let's say 21.67. So in this case, we have solved for R2, 21.67 cm3 per second. But remember, this is not what we are asked to solve for. Now we have solved for the rate of diffusion of gas 2, which is hydrogen sulfide. Now when we are done with the rate of diffusion of hydrogen sulfide, remember we are asked to solve for the time taken for hydrogen sulfide to diffuse through the same partition. Now we have already solved for the rate of diffusion, so we are going to use through the formula for rate of diffusion to solve for the time taken. And how do we get that? We go, the rate of diffusion is equal to the volume of the gas all over time. So now we already have our rate, which is this, and the volume is given as 460. We are going to cross multiply to get our time. So in this case, we go, my rate is equal to 21.167. No, 21.67, sorry, beg your pardon. 21.67 is equal to the volume. The volume is given as 460. 460 all over the time. That is what we are looking for, time. So we cross multiply, time 2. So we cross multiply. So we are going to have 21.67 T2 equal to this times this. We have 460. So we divide both sides by 21.67. 21.67. So we cross multiply. So my T2 is equal to, now we press 21.21 seconds. So it will take 21.2 seconds for hydrogen sulfide to diffuse through the same partition with that of sulfur 4 oxide. I believe this is simple. So I'm going to give you a question for you to try. Let's go to the next part. Now look at this question that we have on the board. It says, if it takes 460 cm3 of sulfur 4 oxide to diffuse in 30 seconds, how long will it take 620 cm3 of hydrogen sulfide to diffuse through the same partition? So you are going to use the same formula that I applied to get this question. But what if we just want to solve for the rate of diffusion? Remember, I told you our rate of diffusion is equals to volume over time. So let's take, for instance, what is the rate of diffusion of sulfur 4 oxide? So in this case, the volume of sulfur 4 oxide is 460. And what is the time? The time it takes to diffuse is 30 seconds. So what is the rate of diffusion? Now we are going to press 460 divided by 460 divided by 30. My answer is 15.33. So 15.33 cm cube. You know, here is volume, which is in cm cube, and then divided by time, which is a second, cm cube per seconds. So this is the answer. So whenever you are asked to solve for the volume, rate of diffusion of a gas, as long as you have the volume and the time, all you have to do is to divide your volume with time given to you in that question. So that's how to solve it. But in this case, you are not asked to solve for the rate of diffusion in this question. You are only asked to solve for the time it will take hydrogen sulfide that has a volume of 620 cm3 in this case to diffuse under the same condition with that of sulfur 4 oxide. So I want you guys to try this, and do not forget to drop your answer in the comment section. Don't forget to give me a thumb up. Do not forget to follow Mr. Uncle Chemist. Have a nice day. Bye.